ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Verse 55 अंशागृहीर्तेर्भ्रान्तिश्चेत् घटज्ञानं भ्रमो भवेत् निरंशस्यापि सांशत्वं व्यावर्त्यांशविभेदतः. So Vidyaranya had a brief discussion on nature of a paroksha jnanam of Brahman. I mean, the question is whether paroksha jnanam is possible or not. Should we call paroksha jnanam as a Brahma or it's a knowledge? Then, Vidyaranya established it is a paroksha jnanam, is a jnanam. Because Brahman the question itself arises because Brahman happens to be a paroksha. So, aparoksha vastu, and jnanam is vastu tantram. Jnanam always depends upon the vastu, nature of the thing, whatever the object, nature of object. So, in keeping with the nature of object, if you have a cognition, then that is called jnanam. If it is something else, then how do you call it as a jnana? So that was a question. We should call it Brahma, etc. Well, then he established that indirect knowledge of this paroksha jnanam is possible even in case of a directly available entity. It is possible. So when directly available object is not directly understood, like the 10th man, etc. So even though the 10th man's status is directly available, but concealed due to ignorance, then, upon which we definitely superimpose indirectness on a direct object. So, indirectness is possible, like Dashamaha Asti. So, he divided directness into two types, and that is, one is an intrinsic. It's by naturally, that is like a 10th man, naturally in directness. And the second is, recognized directness. So when directness is not understood, still natural directness is there, but not recognized. When directness is not recognized, it may be a misunderstood. And that is, you say it is indirect, but that is called Brahma. No, but it is not Brahma. We said, when you say that Dashamaha Asti, that Dashamaha Asti is a Brahma or it's a paroksha jnanam of a 10th man. To the 10th man. 10th man says there is 10th man now. So, then that is, we call it as a jnanam yet. Because if it is a Brahma, it should be totally negated. There is no 10th man. Such a new cognition can negate that there is a 10th man. Then that is that cognition that there is a 10th man is called Brahma. Brahma means which is totally negated. But in fact, there is a 10th man is included now in a new piece of knowledge. It's not negated, but it is included. What? Dashamaha Asmi. When you say I am 10th man, automatically the existence of 10th man is proven. And therefore, this paroksha, the dashamaha asti, that cognition is not a Brahma, because Brahma means it should be totally negated. But it is not negated, it is included in a new piece of knowledge. I am the 10th man. And therefore, that is paroksha jnanam is possible. Indirect knowledge is possible of a direct entity. Anyway, so this is. So indirectness is, even though superimposed upon a direct entity, in case of a Brahman also same way, even though it is a directly available, but not understood. So indirectness is superimposed upon Brahman, and so conclusion is indirect knowledge is possible. Direct knowledge also is possible with respect to Brahman, and the indirect knowledge also is possible. And then thereafter he proceeds to show what is the result of a indirect knowledge of Brahman and direct knowledge of the Brahman. He says, he's going to say also later, that this paroksha jnanam, indirect knowledge, will negate, covering. What was the covered, the sat amsha which was covered, as paroksha jnanam helps to uncover that the sat amsha the cover of the sadamsha has been negated. We call it as a sattva avaranam has been negated, or asattva amsha is negated. And this paroksha jnanam helps in that. How does it help? You say Brahmasti, you say it, Brahmasti, Brahman exists, and therefore there is no entity called Brahman. I don't believe, Swamiji. There is such a Brahman does not exist at all. Now that person says there is Brahman, then definitely Sattva Avaranam has gone. So that we have to understand. So Sattva Amsha of the Brahman, which was covered, has now gone. So this is what we say. And so he now never questions about the existence of Brahman. With respect to that, he has no more doubt. With respect to the existence of Brahman, he has no more doubt. Satamsha becomes clear. Still problem is there. There is Brahman, but I don't experience Brahman. That problem is still there. And therefore, I have to experience Brahman. Yeah, there is Brahman. I now know. I have done a Shravanam, and all Upanishad says there is Brahman, which is Jagat Karan. I also say now, yes, such a Brahman is there, but I have to experience Brahman. Therefore, a non-acceptance of a experience is called Chidavaranam, naturally. Bhana Avaranam, we can say. So, Sadavaranam has gone, but Bhana Avaranam continues. And when he gains a aparoksha jnanam, I am Brahman, then he will say definitely, that thing just goes away, that I have to experience Brahman, because he is experiencing himself all the time. And that happens to be Brahman that he comes to know now. That's a paroksha jnana. So that also, I have not experienced Brahman, such a notion also has gone. Now he won't say that, because I is ever experienced, and that happens to be Brahman, that is generated through the paroksha jnana, through Mahavakya. So that is how both this, there is no Brahman, that avaranam, sadavaranam has gone, asattvaamsha has gone, abhanamsha also has gone, chidavaranam also has gone. With that I have to experience Brahman. There is Brahman, but I have to experience Brahman. There is a 10th man, but I have to experience the 10th man. Yet, both have gone. Please understand this. This is very, 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 I'm telling you very frankly, there is nothing such, is such a soothing thing in the world. All the time the sadhakas have this. Everything is true, Swamiji. But I have to experience such a Brahman who is most secure, happy, etc. It is in the form of an I. And this can be said in many ways, but I don't want to divert too much, because ultimately, when you say I am a conscious entity, and there is a limitless consciousness which is Jagat Karanam, that limitless consciousness includes me also. And therefore, if I am consciousness, I am a conscious being, that happens to be Brahman, because limitless consciousness cannot cannot be away from me, being limitless. And therefore, I am conscious being when I am saying, well, I am consciousness actually, and that happens. So therefore, I is ever experience, and therefore Brahman is ever experience. So he will not say that I have to experience Brahman. But Swamiji, nobody says. All people say. Only few. Rare. I see very rare in the seekers who does not say this. Most of the people have this pratyaya only. I have to experience Brahman. I have to experience Brahman in Nididhyasanam. And he is going to totally remove that notion today. Nididhyasanam is meant for Brahman experience. He is going to remove it totally. Because aparoksha jnanam is generated through Mahavakya. I can't resist. That's how I'm telling you it is going to come. Aparoksha jnanam is not generated through Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanam cannot generate knowledge. Knowledge is generated by Shravanam. Shravanam of a Mahavakya. And if you do Mahavakya Shravanam, aparoksha jnanam is generated, not paroksha jnanam. We should understand this very well. And therefore, aparoksha jnanam is generated to Mahavakya, Mahavakya Shravanam, analysis of Mahavakya, etc. And that aparoksha jnanam is generated means what? I am Brahman. That is aparoksha jnanam. And therefore, there is no question of experiencing Brahman now. Experiencing Brahman means I have to experience myself. Then if you have to experience yourself, then who are you right now? Therefore, happens to be, I happen to be Brahman. And therefore, there is no question of experiencing Brahman once you gain aparoksha jnanam in Shravanam. Then what is meant, Nididhyasana is meant for what? We'll talk about it today itself, don't worry. So I have basically no covering with respect to Brahman. That's anxiety. So really speaking, there is no anxiety for Brahman, no experiencing Brahman. There is anxiety for moksha. There is anxiety for moksha. And the nature of Brahman is freedom. So the nature of I is freedom. So there is no question of Swamiji, everything is true. Human life is rare. Everything is true. But then when will I get moksha? It is exactly, you are telling in other words, but actually you want to say you want to experience Brahman. That is the same thing. I want to experience moksha. I want to gain moksha. All these are same question. Same question. These are different words, so that teacher will not be bored. Therefore, so this thing should not be there. But the security which I want in my life, happiness which I want in my life, etc., etc., immortality which I want in my life, freedom from fear, this, that, etc., what I want is I am. That's it. That is aparoksha jnana. But Swamiji, that such a thing has not occurred in me. Then continue Shravan. Till the Mahavakya works for you. So that is what the Mahavakya analysis should be done again and again and again and again. Mahavakya has to do that job. Not that the Shravanam is over and now Nididhyasanam in which I will directly experience Brahman and etc. This all is a misconception. Vidyaranya and Sureshwaracharya both remove this. Sureshwaracharya removes through Naishkarmya Siddhi. Vidyaranya removes through Pancadasi. This is how the things are actually. Anyway, so Brahman ever is and ever experienced in form of a I, in form of a Aham. And so he presents this thing in a technical language, of course, that Paroksha Jnanam removes a Sat Avaranam or a Satvamsha, and Aparoksha Jnanam removes this Chid Avaranam, etc. He presents it in a technical way, but the ultimate essence is this only. And then, before that, he is going to clarify in the next verse, of course, this thing which I told to you. But before that, he clarifies a possible doubt in a second line of verse 55, which we saw also, of course. We say that Paroksha Jnanam removes Sad Avaranam and Aparoksha Jnanam removes this Chid Avaranam, etc. So you are as though dividing Sat and Chidamsha. Sadamsha Avaranam, goes by Paroksha Jnanam. Chidamsha Avaranam goes by Aparoksha Jnana. And therefore, as though Brahman has Amsha. Brahman has parts. So elsewhere you say Brahman is Niramshaha. And Brahman is partless, Niravayavaha, etc. So, what is the truth then? Then, we should, basically, we should not answer into such a thing. We should have a counter question. That are you talking this amsha of a Brahman, avayava of a Brahman, uh, from Vyavarika Drashti or Paramarthika Drashti? This is where our Vedantin wins. This Vyavarika Drashti and Paramarthika Drashti, this they don't have that. And that is a problem. Whatever is there in Vyavara, that is a Paramartha for them. That's a problem. To say there is something else, you have to negate this Vyavara in form of a mithya, even though you experience. They can't accept it, or they are not able to conceive it. I feel they are not able to conceive this. What is experience is real. One cannot get away from this so easily. Anyway, so we ask this question. Are you talking about the amsha of a Brahman from a Vyavarika Drashti or a Paramarthika Drashti? Well, from Paramarthika Drashti, Brahman is a partless. And when you look at this Brahman from a Vyavara, from a Upadhi, Vyavarika Drashti means Upadhi, Aupadhika Drashti, basically. So, then we say there are three parts, okay? Satchid Ananda, etc. Sadamsha, Chidamsha and Anandamsha. And that part of Brahman which is Adhishthanam of this Mithya Jagat, well, is called Sat. Jagat we say Asat. With respect to Asat Jagat, we call Brahman as a Sat, which is Adhisthana of that. And we want to show you that this Brahman which is Adhisthana of Jagat is Vilakshanam, basically, is distinct from this, its nature. The nature of Brahman or Atma is distinct from the Jagat or from the Sharira, either way. From Vyashti, Upadhi Drashtya, well, we distinct Atma and Atma, we do discrimination also. So we want to show you the distinct nature of Atma or distinct nature of a Brahman from a Samashti Drashti, from a total Upadhi Drashti, Jagat Drashti, Maya Drashti, whatever. Because Maya alone manifests in the form of Jagat. When Jagat becomes unmanifest, that is Maya. Anyway, so that this Asat Prapancha, from the standpoint of Asat Prapancha, well, we call Brahman as a Satyam or a Sat. And whereas same Brahman is looked upon as Adhisthana of a Achit Prapancha, Jada Prapancha, inert, well, same Jagat. Well, we say it is Jadam. Then the Adhishthanam, Brahman, we call it as a Chit. And when Brahman is Adhisthana of a Dukkha Prapancha, limitations, etc., well, we call Brahman as a Ananda. So, Asat Drashtya Sat, Achit Drashtya Chit, and Anananda or Dukkha Drashtya, well, we call Brahman as a Ananda. So, this Vyavarika Amshatraya, well, Sattvat Brahmanaha Amshatraya. So, these are basically we look upon through Jagat. And we look upon Brahman as a Adhishthanam of Jagat. So, you include the Jagat in that. Well, so from a Vyavarika Drashti, we call it as a Satchidananda or Satyam Jnanam Anantam, etc. And so, you can we can call this Dukkha Drashtya means, or this is the Jagat. We cannot call it as a Dukkham, we can call it as a limited Jagat. Limitations and Dukkha goes together actually. And Ananda and fullness goes together, limitlessness goes together. So there is, from a Paramarthik Drashtya, well, there is no Mithya, Jada, Dukkha, Prapancha, etc. And therefore, when, well, that is not there, then we don't say Brahman as a Satchidananda. Brahman is Brahman. Okay? And therefore, from Vyavarika Drashtya, we say like this. So, Vyavartya Amsha Vibhedata, we say this. Vyavartam is to be negated. Amsha means these three Mithya Amshas which are going to be negated. Which three Mithya Amsha? Asat, Jad and Dukkha Amsha. Well, so these three aspects, since these three aspects are there, we reveal Brahman by negating each of them. Vyavartam means to be negated or negatable. So, when we negate Asat means Brahman is called Sat. When we negate Jadam, we call Brahman as a Chit, Chetanam. And we negate this all limited things. Jagat is limited in terms of time, place, everything. Well, or Dukkham, we can say, when we negate this Dukkham, well, Adhishthanam Brahman, which is Vilakshanam, then Jagat, Vilakshanam, then Shariram, Shariratrayam, well, we call it as an Ananda. So, from Paramarthik Drashtya, nothing is to be negated. Yeah. Negation comes means there is something to be negative. When negatable is there, you negate. Otherwise, why should I negate? So, from a Paramahantic Drishta, well, this we don't even say Brahman is Satchidananda. And therefore, even though we have used words Sadamsha, Chidamsha, but don't think that Brahman by nature has some Amsha, part, it is partless. And from a Jagat Drishti, from a Sharira Drishti, etc., Vyashti or Samashti Upadi Drishtya, well, we call Brahman as a Satchidananda or Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So from Paramarthik Drishtya, this is irrelevant, which is Brahman is a Niramshasyapi. So Brahman is Niramsha, partless, which is Niravaya. So, so Niramshasyapi Samshatvam. For this partless Brahman, we have accepted Samsha. Amshena saha vartate, Samsha. So these three Amshas we have accepted for a Niramsha Brahma, that is from a Vyavaharika Drishti. And so there is no contradiction. So let's go to now verse 56. Asatvamsho nivarteta paroksha jnanatastatha abhanamsha nivrutti syad aparoksha diya krita. So Vidyaranya says that in Vyavaharika level, well, paroksha jnanatah, through paroksha jnanam, asatva amsha nivarteta. Asatva amsha. So there are, he uses some time. So in Shastra you find sometime, well, sad avaranam is equal to asatva amsha. Then bhana avaranam. We have seen that. Sometimes they write sattva apadaka avaranam, means asatva amsha. Sometimes they write sattva avaranam. Sometimes they write sattva padaka avaranam. And that is similar to asatva amsha. When you say bhana avaranam, bhana apadaka avaranam, that is equal to abhanamsha. We can say that. Bhanam means experience. Sattvam means existence. So both are considered. Initially, person, if he is not exposed to this teaching, well, he will say there is no Brahman, there is no Ishvara. Then there is nothing called Brahman which exists. And also there is another avarana. I don't experience Brahman. I don't experience Ishvara either. So both these things are there due to ignorance. So both, that's how we say it. From Ajnanam, Ajnanam basically is a karanam for the avarana. Sattva avaranam and bhana avaranam. Sadamsha avaranam, chid amsha avaranam. We say that. Well, and then definitely both this avaranam goes by, sad avaranam goes by, well, paroksha jnanam. Paroksha jnanam means what is the paroksha jnanam? Well, there is Jagat Karanam Brahman. So that you accept now existence of Brahman as a Jagat Karan. Then you will not say now that there is no Brahman. So Sadavaranam has gone away. And now you gain aparoksha jnanam through Mahavakya. You have started listening to Shastra. That is how you say there is Jagat Karanam Brahman. Otherwise, how will you say? So Sadavaranam also has gone by gaining knowledge, but paroksha jnanam in a Shravanam itself. And again further, now the teacher tells you that Jagat Karanam Brahman is you. That's a Mahavakya. Now you gain aparoksha jnana. So now when it is said that you are Brahman, that Jagat Karanam Brahman, then you cannot say that now I don't experience Brahman. Because you means you will say I. And I is ever experience. That happens to be Jagat Karanam Brahman, and therefore, well, the person will not say now that I don't experience Brahman. Bhana avaranam also is gone. Bhana apadaka avaranam is also gone. Or abhana amsha has gone, you can say. Chidamsha avaranam has gone, you can say that way also. Same thing. Bhanam is basically experiencing, being conscious of, etc. Well, that also is gone. So paroksha jnanam and aparoksha jnanam, both one gains in Shravanam. If someone says that Swamiji, I still feel that I don't experience Brahman, then one has to continue with the Mahavakya Shravanam. Yeah. Mahavakya Shravanam should give you a total conviction that I am Brahman. I, one who is ever experienced all the time, who is there in all the three periods of time or in all the three states of experience. I is ever there, manifest and manifest, either. I is ever there. The one who is in the form of an experiencer, well, he is ever there. Even to experience a deep sleep state, I was there, one says also. And therefore there is no question and that I, which is present in all the three states of experiences as a very experiencer, well, that happens to be Brahman. And therefore this person will not say now that I don't experience Brahman. Then you can say, well, I am now totally convinced with the Mahavakya Shravanam. My Mahavakya Shravanam is over. Then what for Nididhyasanam? I don't think required, but still required, then there is something else is there. That we will see later. So, abhanamsha nivrutti syat, well, concealment with respect to, asatvamsha nivarteta paroksha jnanatah. Through paroksha jnanam, well, sadavaranam is negated. And aparoksha dhiya, by gaining this aparoksha jnanam, abhanamsha nivrutti syat, concealment with respect to the experience of Brahman also is negated. So, very idea of looking for Brahman, looking for experience of Brahman, very idea of looking for an experience of Brahman is Brahma, is a error. Now verse 57. Dashamosti iti vibhrantam paroksha jnanamikshate brahmasti tyapi tadvat syat ajnanavaranam samam. So he wants to compare, well, this knowledge, both this type of knowledges, paroksha jnanam and aparoksha jnanam, in case of a 10th man and then in case of a Brahman. So, and later he will point out also what will produce what will generate this paroksha jnanam and what will generate aparoksha jnanam. That also will tell. So anyway, now he is comparing here paroksha jnanam with respect to paroksha and aparoksha jnana with respect to 10th man, paroksha and aparoksha jnana with respect to Brahman. So dashamosti iti jnanam, knowledge that the 10th man is a indirect knowledge, paroksha jnanam. So even though this 10th man is directly available to himself, but still he gains this paroksha jnana. So avibhrantam ikshate. Vibhrantam means invalid. Avibhrantam, valid. So dashamositi jnanam, there is a 10th man, such a knowledge, avibhrantam, is valid. Ikshate, I is considered. This is a passive voice. Ikshate means to consider, to see. Ikshate means it is considered. This piece of knowledge, dashamo asti iti, this is a quotation. Dashamo asti. In a 10th man, the 10th man has this knowledge that there is a 10th man, is avibhrantam. Don't think he is a Brahma. He is avibhrantam, is valid knowledge. So, Vidyananda emphasized that because there are some people who say that there is no paroksha jnanam possible with respect to Brahman. So, for that he is giving an example of a 10th man and he is explaining this. So, if valid paroksha jnanam with respect to Dashama is possible, then valid paroksha jnanam with respect to Brahman also can be possible. So, Brahma asti iti api tadvat syat. Dashamaha asti iti jnanam avibhrantam syat. Then Brahma asti iti api jnanam tadvat, in the same way, abhibhrantam syat, that also will be valid. Tadvat means exactly in the same way. So exactly in the same way means what? Avibhrantam paroksha jnanam syat. And what is that jnanam? Brahma asti, valid paroksha jnanam. Because mechanism is same. The 10th man, right? 10th man has a piece of knowledge. What? There is a 10th man, is valid. Is valid. Then Brahman has, Brahman has, due to ignorance, he doesn't know, and that is avaranam. Well, and he now, that person who is Brahman, says that there is Brahman. Well, it's possible. Mechanism is same. Nitya Siddha. 10th man is Nitya Siddha. Brahman also is a Nitya Siddha. Everything is same. So the 10th man has a knowledge that there is a 10th man is valid. Then this person who is Brahman has a knowledge that there is Brahman. Well, Paroksha Jnanam, well, that's also valid. That's valid. Mechanism is same. And therefore, so Ajnana Avaranam Samam, well, ignorance does the same thing. Ajnanena Avaranam here. Yeah, so Sadamsha is concealed by this Ajnanam, while it is removed by this Paroksha Jnanam. And now verse 58. Atma Brahmethi Vakyarthe Nisheshena Vicharite Vyaktirullikhyate Yadvat Dashamastvamasi Tyatah. So when Paroksha Jnanam is converted to Aparoksha Jnanam, then this general knowledge of Brahman, that existence of Brahman, etc., is converted to Vishesha Jnanam of Brahman. So when general knowledge that Brahman Asti, this is a Paroksha Jnanam, and Aparoksha Jnanam is what? Particular knowledge of Brahman. That Brahman which exists, that exists as me, that's a particular knowledge. Brahman exists, that's a Paroksha Jnanam. Then we call it general knowledge. What is a Vishesha Jnanam then? Paroksha Jnanam is a general knowledge, that's fine. Then what is a Vishesha Jnanam, particular knowledge? That Brahman which is existence as a Jagat Karanam is me, right? That is a Aparoksha Jnanam. So that we call Aparoksha Jnanam is a Vishesha Jnanam. And Paroksha Jnanam is a general knowledge, Samanya Jnanam. So that's what he says, Atma Brahma iti Vakyarthe, Mahavakyarthe. Atma Brahma and Mahavakya Shravanam is done properly. So while one gains this knowledge, Atma Brahman, I am Brahman, etc. Iti Nisheshena Vicharite. Atma Brahma iti Vakyarthe Nisheshena Vicharite. This meaning of this Mahavakya, Nisheshena means thoroughly, Vicharite, analyzed. This is Sati Saptami. The people, our Sanskrit grammar students. Well, what is the locative absolute? We have seen the usage last week. This is a usage of that. You can understand here Vakyarthe is a Saptami Vibhakti, and Vicharite also is a Saptami Vibhakti. So Atma Brahma iti Vakyarthe Nisheshena Vicharite Sati. That was Sati Saptami. Sati means what, Swamiji? You start the sentence with when. That is Sati Saptami. When one gains, when one analyzes, Nisheshena Vicharite. When one analyzes thoroughly, what? Vakyarthe, the meaning of this Mahavakya. What is that Mahavakya? Atma Brahma. When one analyzes this Mahavakya, then one gains Paroksha Jnanam, etc. So this is when and then clause. I told you also at that time. So they won't write Sati. But this such a kind of the usage of a seventh case is a Sati Saptami. When the two clauses are there. Vyaktihi Ullikhyate is another clause. So one gains a clear knowledge, a specific nature of the Brahman. Vyakti Ullekha means a identification. That's all. Vyakti means a specific entity. So that you have a general knowledge. I told you the example of that airport, if you remember. I told you that identification of luggage, right? Suppose 10 travelers are there, 10 suitcases are there. These people have a general knowledge. That suitcase belongs to a traveler. That knowledge they have. They are seeing the suitcase also. Right? And the knowledge also they have. That the suitcase belongs to traveler. But which suitcase belongs to which traveler? That's a particular knowledge. That they don't have. But then when they say, well, you identify your baggage, then everyone comes and picks up their baggage. Then they come to know that this bag belongs to this person. That's called a particular knowledge. That's called Vyakti Ullekha, identification. Identification is what? Ullekha means referring to. Referring to a Vyakti is called Vyakti Ullekha. Referring to a specific entity, that this belongs to this. Same way Brahman Asti. Jagat Karanam Brahma Asti, Paroksha Jnana, right? General knowledge. But that Brahman which is Jagat Karanam is me. That's an identification of Brahman as the self, right? And therefore this is called Vyakti Ullekha, which we call here as a specific knowledge. We call it as Aparoksha Jnanam because it that happens to be me means it is Aparoksha Jnanam. So this is how we have to understand the words. He is using this word. So when one, so what are the two sentences, two clauses here? Well, Atma Brahmeti Vyakyarthe Nisheshena Vicharite Sati. The whole first line is a clause with a when. Vyakti Ullikhyate is another clause, starts with then. So when one definitely analyzes thoroughly, Nisheshana means here thoroughly, without leaving aside any corner. So when one analyzes this Mahavakya thoroughly, then, and what is the Mahavakya? Atma Brahma Iti. Iti means shows a quotation before that. That Atma is Brahman when it is analyzed thoroughly. Vyakti Ullikhyate. Then that Brahman, well, which is a Jagat Karanam and for which I have a general knowledge, well, I identify it as me because Atma Brahma. Therefore, that is called Aparoksha Jnana. Vyakti Ullikhyate. Yadvat. And again he is comparing. Like in a previous verse, he compared Paroksha Jnanam with respect to 10th man and Paroksha Jnana with respect to Brahman. Here now he is comparing a Paroksha Jnana. So Yadvat Dashamaha Tvamasi Ityataha. So the 10th man is not identified initially, not invoked before. Now identified the identity of the 10th man is invoked. We can say that. So here also there is a Mahavakya. What is Mahavakya? Dashamahatvamasi. So our Mahavakya is Brahmatvamasi. And this, in case of a 10th man, what is Mahavakya? Dashamahatvamasi. So Dashamahatvamasi, 10th man you are, iti ataha. Iti, Dashamahatvamasi iti. Iti means before that there is a quotation. Well, you are 10th man, well, right? That is Mahavakya. Iti ataha means asmat vakyat, from this Mahavakya, which is called Mahavakya. Well, the 10th man is identified, right, among all the students. So, same way, Brahman Mahavakya, you are Brahman, that Mahavakya, through that Brahman is identified as myself. Anyway, then, there is a other angle also to negate some other misconception, that during Shravanam we get this Paroksha Jnanam, as I of course told you also. And they say also, some of the Acharya also may say, that Shravanam generates a Paroksha Jnanam and Nididhyasana generates a Aparoksha Jnanam. Well, this is a widely held notion. Vidyaranya says, Nididhyasanam cannot generate experience of Brahman. I think we discussed before. Nididhyasanam cannot generate an experience of Brahman. Nididhyasanam cannot give you a Aparoksha Jnanam also. Nididhyasanam cannot give you any kind of an extraordinary experience also. Nothing. Anyway, what I am saying is, this is a widely held notion that indirect knowledge is through Shravanam and direct knowledge, happens in a Nididhyasana. Well, that is not true. Direct and indirect, both knowledges happen in Shravanam. So when you listen to a Jagat Karana Vakyam, Srushti Vakyam, you gain that yes, there is Brahman which is Jagat Karana. That's we call Avantar Vakyam. That generates a Paroksha Jnana, indirect knowledge, that there is Brahman which is Jagat Karana. And then Mahavakya Shravanam, same Upanishad as Mahavakya also, right? Which generates, that then you listen to the Mahavakya, it gives you a Paroksha Jnana. So Paroksham and Aparoksha Jnanam is generated by Vakyas of Upanishad, Avantar and Mahavakya of the Upanishad. And that happens, you do a Vakya Shravanam, analysis of, Shravanam means analysis, not listening to. That is okay. If that involves listening, that is another thing. Shravanam is a technical word in a Vedanta. And that is analyzing the Vakyas, Upanishad Vakya. And for that you listen to the teacher, etc., for a length of time, consistently, etc., etc. You know all this. We have discussed this before also. And so, Shravanam alone generates this Paroksham and Aparoksha Jnanam. So, well, but Swamiji, without, somebody has this paroksha jnanam and he does a nididhyasanam, then what will happen? Then, well, definitely, after doing nididhyasanam, the shravanam becomes effective. Mahavakya we will understand immediately. Okay? But the knowledge takes place, aparoksha jnanam takes place only in nididhyasanam, in shravanam only. That it is to be clear. Because after gaining, there is a Jagat Karanam Brahman. What nididhyasanam you can do? What nididhyasanam? Nididhyasanam means I am Brahman. Right? I am Brahman. So therefore, even if somebody says, no, he superimposes, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Jagat Karanam, I am Jagat Karanam. But if he doesn't listen to Mahavakya, this knowledge will not take place. You may superimpose. But basically knowledge occurs when a teacher analyzes through Shastra, of course, this Mahavakya. So, I have direct knowledge of Brahman, and that conviction has to take place during Shravanam. Aparoksha Jnanam also has to take place by Mahavakya Shravanam. So, that is what Vidyaranya says. Atma Brahma iti vakyarthe nisheshena vicharite vyakti ullikhyate. The specific entity, this Brahman, the nature of the Brahman as the very self, has been ullikhyate, has been referred to. So Vidyaranya all the time they keep on, will repeatedly say this, that nididhyasanam is not meant for experiencing Brahman. Aparoksha jnanam only tells you, if you happen to be a Brahman, then you won't say, because that bhana avaranam has gone, you won't say now that I don't experience Brahman. If you say you don't experience Brahman, means you have to say, I don't experience myself. Because aparoksha jnanam, and therefore he can't say, I don't experience myself, and therefore he cannot say, I don't experience Brahman. And therefore, so aparoksha jnanam, which occurs through the Shravanam, after that, this regarding experience of Brahman, he will not have any more a doubt. And therefore, he will not say, now in nididhyasanam I will experience Brahman, etc. Verse 59. Dashamah kaha iti prashne tvameveti nirakrite ganayitva svena saha swameva dashamam smaret. Now this same idea has been given by Sureshwaracharya ji in Naishkarmya Siddhi also. That direct knowledge of Brahman, aparoksha jnanam, has to take place by Guru Shastra Upadesha, means during Shravanam. So, it is a very important topic in this Vedanta, and Vidyaranya deals now in so many verses now. So, this idea is elaborated now here. What? That experience of Brahman, takes place in a Shravana. We should not say, but let's take like this. Because I have an avaranam that I don't experience Brahman, I don't experience Brahman. Okay, you do Mahavakya Shravanam. Okay, that's what we say. And when you do Mahavakya Shravanam properly, you will not say further that I don't experience Brahman. Because to say I don't experience Brahman, you have to say I don't experience myself. Anyway, Dashamah kaha iti prashne, when 10th man has got this paroksha jnanam, he will say that I know that there is a 10th man, but how can I experience the 10th man, etc.? How can I identify the 10th man? Same thing. Then he goes, then that person comes and, he tells this Mahavakya that you are the 10th man, etc. And then he identifies the 10th man, which we call aparoksha jnanam of a 10th man. Yeah, this person who comes and tells, he doesn't say any other thing other than Mahavakya, that Tvameva Dashamosi. Other than that, he doesn't say, you meditate. If you want to identify this 10th man, or you want to directly experience the 10th man, you meditate. Dashamaha, 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 Dashamaha. You keep on meditating, and in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, ultimately you will know that you are a 10th man. No. So, he just say few words, 3 words, that's all. Tvameva Dashamaha Asi. That's it. If a person is ready, and I think in case of a 10th man, he is ready, mental preparedness is there, then definitely he will immediately say, I am 10th man. And then with that, this avaranam, oh, I don't experience 10th man, goes away. So aparoksha jnanam generated through the Mahavakya, well, removes this bhana avaranam. So, Dashamaha kaha iti prashne sati. Here again Sati Saptami. For you, Vidyaranya is bringing so many Sati Saptamis, So, our Sanskrit students will be very happy. Dashamaha kaha iti prashne sati. When this person has this question, where is 10th man, what is 10th man, etc. Means I want to identify the 10th man, I want to experience the 10th man. Iti prashne sati. Tvameva iti nirakrute. Tvameva asi. The 10th man which you want to experience happens to be ever experience you, like that has been told. Nirakrute means is negated. What is negated? Well, the curiosity of experiencing the 10th man is negated by the Mahavakya of that person, that Tvameva Dashamahasi, well, removes that curiosity. Nirakrita means nirakaran. Nirakaran means negation. Negation of what? Negation of the curiosity. Curiosity of what? Curiosity of experiencing 10th man, identifying 10th man, goes away by just Mahavakya. No meditation. Right? No meditation. If you meditate, 10th man, 10th man, 10th man. No, it won't happen. So, why do you look for this 10th man? Actually, you who is ever experienced alone is a 10th man. Prashne nirakrute. So, this anxiety is negated. This curiosity, anxiety is negated by Mahavakya. Tvameva dashamahasi. So, then 10th man was Ganayitva Svena Saha. Well, the 9 students we know. Now, I don't want to go into the story. All the 9 students, the 10th man was told, call all the 9th and tell them to stand in a row. And then they all stand in a row. And then he counted 1, 2, 3, 4. So, Ganayitva 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ganayitva means after counting. Svena Saha. Well, Swameva Dashamam Smaret. Well, after counting these 9 alone with himself, previously after counting 9, he was crying. Now after this Mahavakya Upadesha, well, that you are the 10th man, Swameva Dashamam Smaret, he recognizes that himself to be the 10th man. What sadhana is required? Well, nothing else other than a clear understanding is required. No nididhyasana is required. What type of what is the role of nididhyasana? That nididhyasanam on the part of this 10th man is what, Suppose after listening to this Mahavakya, you are 10th man. Now if he has still doubt that still I have to really search for the 10th man. If he has certain doubt, well, he has to sit in meditation and tell himself that I have no more. I should no more put an effort to identify, to experience the 10th man. I am the 10th man. I am the 10th man. Okay, so that way he has to do. Same way, our people, they should, if they gain aparoksha jnanam, well, then you don't require actually nididhyasana. But if you require nididhyasana is meant for a person who has still a notion that my journey is not over. My journey is not over. I have to gain moksha. I have to gain moksha. For that, well, he has to remind himself, journey is over. Right? Journey is over. Journey is over. Better you recognize this. So, I am 10th man, I am Brahman, etc. or I am free. When I am free, journey is over. But even after listening to this Mahavakya, well, he feels that moksha is to be gained in the future, etc. Well, as a future event, well, then he has to remind himself, I am no more a sadhaka. I am no more a sadhaka, is a nididhyasana. I am no more a seeker of moksha. I am no more a seeker of Brahman. Well, that is a nididhyasana. Why this nididhyasana? Because habitually, error. Habitually, he again takes himself as a seeker of a moksha, etc. After Mahavakya Shravanam, it is not required. Because I happen to be, Brahman means I happen to be free. Swamiji, I am freedom or I am free. Either way you say. Freedom is my nature. Or I am free. What's the difference between two statements? So sometimes, but Swamiji, sometimes you say I am mukta and sometimes you say I am moksha. So what is same thing? My nature is freedom, moksha. Or I say I am free, I am mukta. Ultimately it is nitya mukta. You are, that's what you have to remind. That is a nididhyasana. You have to remind yourself after Mahavakya Shravanam and gaining a paroksha jnanam. But then what kind of a paroksha jnanam it is? If that's what I am telling you, you should be convinced that yes, I am Brahman. That conviction should be there. Then only Mahavakya Shravanam is over. Otherwise not. And after that conviction also, due to the habitual error, due to this identification in the body because of the ignorance of a beginningless time, you again take yourself as an individual seeker, etc., and consider moksha, etc., well, of a future event, etc. So you have to remind yourself again. That's it. And therefore, so the journey of, the Nididhyasanam is to remind yourself that I am no more a sadhaka. I don't require moksha. So, so this is the role of a Nididhyasana. So Nididhyasana is just to support basically this effective Shravanam. Verse 60. Dashamosmiti vakyotha nadirasya vihanyate adimadhyavasaneshu nanatvasya samshayah. So basically when this 10th man, recounts all 10th now, including himself, what is his state of mind? Well, earlier he has no clarity of this 10th man, and therefore he was feeling sorrowful, etc., samsara, etc. Now he knows where navatvam exists. Please understand this. And where dashamatva exists. He knows very clearly. Navatvam means ninethness. He is using this word. It's an abstract noun from nava. Nava means nine, a ninth. And navatvam, ninethness. Ninethness exists in whom? Ninethness exists in ninth. And therefore, in ninth navatvam exists, and in me dashamatva exists. In me, the 10th man, 10thness exists. So now there is no confusion regarding the ninethness or a 10thness, because he is using this tvam. That's how I am using this kind of a thing. So no confusion regarding in me. Like a 10th man has no confusion regarding where ninethness exists and where 10thness exists, no confusion. Same way I, Vedanti, has no confusion where Anatma is, where Atma is. That's it. So Navatvam means Anatma, and 10th man means Atma. So he has a clear knowledge. What is Anatma? What is Atma? So Dashamaha Asmi iti Dhihi. We have to see here. Say Dashamo Asmi iti Dhihi, Vakyotha Dhihi, but Dashamaha Asti iti Dhihi, that this I am the 10th man, iti Dhihi, that Jnanam, is Vakyotha. Vakyotha is, generated. Vakyotha means generated from Vakya, generated from Mahavakya. What is a Mahavakya? Mahavakya is not Dashamosmi. Yeah. Mahavakya is Dashamosi. Tvam Dashamosi. Your 10th man is Mahavakya. And then the person gains the knowledge from that Mahavakya Shravanam is this Dashamaha Asmi. I am 10th man. Please understand this. Mahavakya is not I am 10th man. Because Mahavakya Upadesha is given by the teacher, right? And that teacher says you are 10th man. Oh, it means you are Brahman, sorry. You are Brahman. In case of a 10th man, that is you are 10th man. So Dashamosi. So here you are Brahman, there it is you are 10th man. And then that Mahavakya Shravanam gives you this knowledge. What knowledge? Well, Dashamo Asmi iti di. That's how he says. Dashamo Asmi iti Vakyotha dihi. So, I am 10th man, that knowledge is generated by Mahavakya. Now here we have to clarify. What is that Mahavakya? I am 10th man, that is not Mahavakya. You are 10th man. That's what has been told, right? Tvam Dashamosi. That is been told. So anyway, so Vakyotha means Vakya is this, that you are 10th man. And the knowledge which is generated, Dashama Asti iti dhihi, that this Jnanam is what? Well, is never shaken when it is not shaken. Adi Madhya Avasaneshu. Let us take the person, the 10th man's example. So during beginning of a counting process, Adi, well, Madhya during the counting, during the middle, and during the end, Avasanam is end. During the end of a counting process, that Dashamatva belongs to this me is never doubted. Navihinyate, doesn't go. Navatvam na samshaya. With respect to this Navatvam, well, they are the 9th and I am the 10th. Well, that clear knowledge has not been shaken up. So, with respect to Navatvam also, no doubt, they are 9th. Navatvam belongs to this 9th person, and Dashamatva belongs to me. Well, that knowledge is not shaken up. Navihanyate means is not that knowledge is not destroyed, again not get doubted. That's what he says here. So same way in our case also, this Nityatvam, etc., Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Sabhava, etc., I am free from limitation, I am free from mortality, etc. All this, well, and it doesn't belong to this body mind sense complex, does not belong to the Anatma, etc. This knowledge is not shaken. That's called Aparoksha Jnana. That's called Aparoksha Jnana. So totally convinced with this knowledge that I am Brahman. It's Aparoksha Jnanam generated through Mahavakya. What is a Mahavakya? You are Brahman. The Brahman which you are searching in day-to-day activity, in moment to moment, while you are searching the freedom, that freedom is your nature. That is say. So he is explaining what is the role of Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam, etc. And this is what he is comparing also simultaneously with the 10th man example, which he has already introduced before. We have seen also in the 7 stages and all. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.